Hi guys, hope that you're all well, hope that you've had a good Christmas and New Year. Welcome back to the channel. This is where we look at my table tennis progress, look at my tournaments, my training, my matches, everything that I do to get better. So I've got a tournament vlog for you today. So this is the Nottingham 2-Star Open that I played in on the 29th of December. So quite a nice tournament to play in. It's one I've played in a few times before. It's like a banded event, so there are groups of 8 people. I'm normally in bands 4 or 5. This particular tournament I was in band 4. So the standard's very good actually, and you get players from all over the country that will come over to play in it. It's organised by Jason Ramage. It's very well run, and there's generally prizes for first and second in each group. So 7 matches today. Hope you enjoyed the vlog. I'm going to give you my thoughts and feelings as to each match as each one progresses. Things that I did well, things that I need to improve on. So let's see how we go on. Okay, so first match of the day is against Chris Marshall. Played against Chris a few months ago in Nottingham. Managed to beat him 3-1, I think it was, that first time. But he's a very good player, very steady. Doesn't really like having any particularly big shots. He doesn't play with heavy spin or anything like that. He's just very, very consistent and kind of relies on placement to win him a lot of the points. One thing that I found that I struggled with him is that quite a lot of his serves are fairly dead, and also quite a lot of his blocks as well. So yeah, not particularly easy really. He's having to really spin the ball up without overdoing it. You can see here again that was sort of placed right on my elbow, so a bit awkward to get to really. I think the one thing that kind of saved me in this match was a heavy spin. He seemed to struggle with the amount of spin that was generating from my forehand topspins. So I was almost out of position a few times, kind of caught a little bit awkwardly, but then the actual spin that I was generating was enough that he couldn't quite control it to make me go off the table. So, very nice way to start the day, really. Set myself into it nicely and, hopefully set up a fairly decent day. So some nice quick footwork here just to pivot and get the forehand attack in. And this was an example here of him just struggling to contain the spin on my forehand. So that did win me quite a few points in this match. Second match of the day is against Wai Tat Sum. I'd never met him before, not played him, so I didn't really know what to expect. He told me in the warm-up that he had short pimples on his backhand side, which I wasn't really sure how they would affect the ball, but you can see there that it was quite unusual, really. Sometimes when he would block, it would be very, very dead, very little spin, and the ball would just fall off my bat and go in the net. But then when he chopped, it was quite heavy backspin. So it became quite tricky, really. You can see there, quite heavy spin. So the first game and a half, I was really struggling to lift the ball over the net, and I just put loads and loads of forehands in the net because he was chopping either topspin serves or my topspin loops. Once I'd got my head around the fact that the short pimples, not long pimples, but they do obviously grip the ball really well and create the spin. And I just had to make sure that I just didn't essentially put a forehand in the net and just make sure that I lifted it well. Then I kind of got fairly comfortable, and I do enjoy this kind of a game where somebody's perhaps a little bit more passive, allows me to take the initiative, kind of get in and attack. And I'm very, very comfortable looping, backspin, and especially heavy backspin, which is predominantly what he was actually producing when he would shot. Like I say, it was only the flatter blocks that were a little bit more awkward. That one there was a bit unusual, actually. That was more of a float shot, but he didn't really do that very often throughout this game. So it was a very enjoyable game. He's a very good player, but it ended up kind of suiting my style quite nicely, really. Okay, so the next match is against Sean Murray. Played Sean a few times before, I've got to know him quite well. He's a really, really nice lad. He's like an attacking top spinner, quite sort of like textbook style, really. I would say that when I've played him in the past, one of the main things that I've struggled with is his serving, but I didn't seem to have too much of a problem with that today. His other main strength is his backhand. He's got a very, very good aggressive backhand, you can see there. I think the only thing is with this particular match, he was telling me that He'd taken a little bit of a break over the summer just because he was getting a bit fed up with table tennis. Got back into playing, and then he'd broken his knuckle while doing some boxing training, so he'd been out injured for a couple of months and he's only just got back into it again. So he was just a little bit rusty, and I did notice this both in this game and in his matches throughout the day. He probably wasn't on top form. He's still very, very difficult to beat. So I just tried to make sure really that I just didn't go long into his backhand with any sort of like passive shots. I still did make the occasional mistake of doing this, but as a general rule, if I could sort of like keep the slower, more passive shots like pushes and flicks, keep them concentrating more on his forehand side, and then just try and get in an attack as much as I can, keep him away from the table like this, then I'd always have a good chance of winning it. Okay guys, played 3 matches so far, and yeah, pretty good actually. Feel like I'm playing quite well. I've had, you know, a few sort of half decent training sessions over the last few weeks, so it's quite nice to be coming into this tournament, which I do play in it fairly. I think probably like the last 3 or 4 years I've played in it now. It's a funny time being between Christmas and New Year. But it's really nice to just get out and stretch the legs, dust off the cobwebs from eating and drinking a little bit too much during the Christmas break and everything. So yeah, but it's quite nice to actually play in this and feel fairly sharp. I mean, I'm not quite where I'd like to be, but I do feel like the training sessions that I've had over the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks are, you know, starting to work their way into my game, and I feel quite good actually. So yeah, 3 matches in, and I've won all 3, which is really, really nice because I'm in band 4. I'm one of the lowest ranked players in band 4, so it's good from like a ranking point perspective, because it means I'll get some decent points, but it means I've got some tough matches. General thing now, I'm still trying to pivot and get onto my forehand a lot, so I just need to kind of work on that. It's something I think I've just got to constantly be working on, because as soon as I get into a match, my brain switches off and I start doing that, and I'm looking for my forehand all the time. So I think that's really going to be a bit of a target. Now, I've still got 4 more matches to play. I've got some tough games, but I'm going to try and use my backhand a little bit more, because these tournaments, as nice as they are to sort of win, it's more about trying to develop your game. So I'm really going to try and focus on that, really focus on the placement of my serves and using my backhand a bit more, and not sort of looking for my forehand quite as much. So let's see how we go this afternoon. So this was an interesting game against Simon. It was where I sort of felt that the day started to sort of take a turn and get away from me a little bit. Obviously, you heard there from my halfway assessment that I was pretty happy with the first 3 matches, and I was. But it just started to get away from me. This particular match, the first game I got off to a slow start, and then I was behind nearly all the way through it. Just couldn't get back into it, and it just felt like it was hard work. Simon's got some good shots, as you can see there. He's got a lovely forehand, he's got a very, very good backhand as well. He wasn't overly aggressive though, so if there was a loose ball like that, then yes, of course he would attack it, but he wasn't really taking the initiative to try and attack. So that gave me the opportunity myself to try and get in and be aggressive and take the lead in a lot of the rallies, which of course suits me. But I don't know what it was with this really. I just always seemed to feel like I was behind, just couldn't seem to kind of catch him up. As soon as I'd get a good run going, which I did do, the back end of the second game and the midway through the third game, I was quite comfortable, and then got a fairly decent lead in the third set, and then he's just slowly started to chip away at me. There was probably a few things in this, like I was actually saying in the assessment, is that I needed to try and not pivot quite so much. And then I ended up like there, trying to pivot all the time again. So I have something in my head that I want to do, and then before I know it, it's got out of my head, and I'm doing the same again and again. So yeah, just a few sort of like careless mistakes more than anything. That was quite nice, you know, good, strong forehand topspin. This was really clever though. This was the last point of the match. he'd been pushing deep to my backhand the whole match, and then there he pushed me really wide, so I wasn't expecting it. So fifth match of the day was against Jacob McCarthy. I'd never played Jacob before, but I'd umpired one of his games a little bit earlier in the day, and I could see that he was quite clearly the strongest player in the group. Obviously, very, very good group in itself, but I think that Jacob was probably, should have been in maybe one group higher. I think that he hadn't been playing an awful lot recently, so he didn't have that many ranking points, which is why he was in our group. So I knew it was going to be a really, really tough one. You just tend to find with guys like Jacob that he's obviously got a very good forehand and good backhand, but there's just so many other elements to him, like his serving and his return play is excellent. Like there, he just always puts it somewhere awkward, so you just you can't quite do anything with it, and then you put anything loose in like that, and he will attack it immediately. So it was quite tough. I mean, I think the biggest thing that I took from this, I did lose the game 3-0. The second and the third games were a lot closer. The first game was terrible. I lost 11-2, I think it was. But I think the main thing is that I'd seen him playing some of the other guys, and he had been really, really aggressive and was attacking with both his forehand and his backhand. And against me, he wasn't really doing that. Obviously, the way that he kind of beat me was by just making things awkward for me to attack. But it wasn't a case of him hitting balls past me left, right and centre. So again, that's something that I really do take as a positive, that at least I can really impose myself on these matches, and I can play a lot of them on my own terms. And it's just a case of just tightening up a few things, getting a bit more consistent in my aggressive play, and that will give me the opportunity to be able to start winning matches like this. So yeah, lots of positives to take from it, but Jacob thoroughly deserved this win, and he actually won the group overall. So yeah, very, very good player. So this is the second time that I played against Troy. I played him about a year ago, and I think I lost to him in 5, but it was a really, really tight game, so I was really looking forward to this. And it ended up being really disappointing from my perspective, because he beat me very, very comfortably. I just didn't really trouble him at all, having so many problems, like as you can see here, just missing serves left, right and centre. And obviously his serves are very good, but I felt that I should have dealt with them better than I did. And what ended up happening is the first 2 games he ended up being about either 6, 7, 8, 1 up, I think it was. So I was just fighting a losing battle the whole time. If I could have kept it a little bit tighter early on, I think I would have had a much better chance. But I think that all credit has to be given to Troy, because he made life just really, really difficult for me. You can see there, I mean, that was excellent, lovely backhand, and then pivot round and a fantastic forehand. He had, a lot of sort of like flat forehand hits. Yeah, he was just quite for a young lad, and he trains a lot at Grantham. So I don't know for definite if he was training full time, but yeah, he had a slightly unorthodox technique. You tend to see a lot of the younger lads that are coming through tend to be, perhaps more topspin type players, whereas Troy was much flatter. And yeah, I mean, he kind of liked to play around a little bit with what he did. But I think he's definitely one for to keep your eye on for the future, because I think he's going to get better and better all the time. yeah, the serving was very, very good. Yeah, and I would like to say I was quite disappointed really, because I really was looking forward to this, and I thought this was going to be a really cracking, tight game. I mean, that was a really nice backhand there, but it was more a case I was just sort of throwing my hand at it than anything. But yeah, I thought it was going to be a really tight, really exciting game, and there was some really good points in there, but I just never felt like I troubled him. So final match of the day is against Kit Marsden. He has normal rubber on his forehand, he has long pimples on his backhand, and he was telling me he just changed to grass, which is a particularly nasty long pimple apparently, with virtually no sponge. So quite tricky sort of playing style to play against. But to be perfectly honest with you, I do enjoy playing long pimples. You can see here that the types of rallies that you end up having, apart from when he gets a net like that, the types of rallies that we have against long pimples really suit my game. Very similar to Wai Tat Sum that I played earlier in the day, that the ball tends to come back with a lot of backspin because of the fact I loop with quite heavy topspin. And I understand the mechanism of long pimples and that it reverses the spin. So I'm quite good with all of that. But this ended up being it was quite a difficult game. I mean, I really, really enjoyed it. It was a tough one to finish the day on because it had been a very long day and I was absolutely shattered, to the point where I was almost feeling like a little bit dizzy at times. I was just completely exhausted. It takes such huge physical effort to keep continually lifting heavy backspin. But Kit, yeah, he's a really, really good player. I know that he's had coaching with Sam Wilson, who I've met on a few of the training camps before. You may have seen my video where I went on a training camp to Birmingham in August time, so Kit has a lot of coaching with him. So his game's come on massively. But again, I still felt like I was controlling these rallies quite nicely. Again, we were playing them on my own terms. I was the one that was dictating it a lot of the time, and he was having to respond to what I was doing. So lovely forehand counter there as well. So again, despite the fact that I ended up losing this match, it was a really good game, really enjoyable, and it was really, really tight. I think it ended up being 12-10, 12-10, 11-9. So a couple of points here and there, and it could have gone the other way. So yeah, there's lots and lots of positives to take from this game as well. You can see they're absolutely exhausted by the end of it, but cracking game, and like I say, Kit is a great guy, thoroughly deserved that. So the final results table there shows that I finished in 6th place, won 3, lost 4, but it was very, very tight. There's quite a few of the other players there were on winning 4, losing 3. So I think if I'd have actually beaten Kit at the end, it would have made a big difference and he would have jumped me up probably 2 or 3 places at least, I would say. But yeah, overall, really, really good day. Like I said, these tournaments are always great fun, great to play against different players, try out different tactics. I think the main thing for me that day was I felt a little bit disappointed all in all in the fact that I'd started off so well, winning the first 3 matches and then lost the remaining 4. But they're really, really good players, so I can't be too disappointed, and I can't get too far ahead of myself because I think I always expect a lot from myself. But, you know, I'm playing against good players who've been playing for a long, long time. So, you know, still happy with my progress. I've just got to keep working. I've got to keep training hard. Again, this is something that I'm really going to put a lot of time in over these next few months. Really going to put a great emphasis on my training, perhaps more so than playing matches. Yeah, just keep working towards getting better all the time. So thank you very much for watching the video. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Got lots more content coming up for you soon, and I'll see you all again in the next video.